You just can't keep up, can you, Boomer?
It's so great to see you.
Good to see you.
And this is my research assistant, Amber Lesher. Hello.
Hi.
Have you heard of the phrase "Okay, Boomer"?
Yeah, I think I have.
On SoundCloud. Not gonna say much. Shout out Jet Will. He gonna take over on the mic. Old ladies suck. Okay.
I'm a millennial and I've never boomered anyone. But I could see you wanting to at work. I could see when I'm talking to a coworker who's older and they say something that I think is offensive because they're from a time before, and they just can't help themselves, and I might say okay boomer, but that's not okay.
Comments from coworkers are not going to be actionable unless they rise to the level of harassment, but it has to be severe or pervasive enough to create an abusive work environment. If it's coworkers, the employer's got to know about it and be negligent in controlling it. I don't think a few isolated comments like "okay, boomer" is going to be sufficient to reasonably be called age-based harassment.
Not gonna say much. Shout out Jet Will. He gonna take over on the mic. Old ladies suck. Okay.
Well, I don't think it would necessarily be treated as evidence of age discrimination necessarily. It would depend on the context and the way it was said, when it was said, and what reaction. If it's said in reaction to, hey, don't you understand we dress differently and that we have tattoos, or that we have different cultural values or whatever. If it's said in that context, as opposed to, you just can't keep up, can you, Boomer? Or something didn't go on well, right, on some team project, and you use that comment to criticize their work, that's a different context. There is one prominent Supreme Court case where the decision maker said to the plaintiff, what'd you do? Come over on the Mayflower? A comment like that in the context of criticizing his work shows age consciousness, right? And usually the decision makers themselves are older than 40, 45-year-olds discriminating against 55, 60-year-olds. That happens a lot for reasons that are economically rational.
Why would you say it's economically rational in some cases to discriminate against older workers?
Let's say you're hiring a bunch of people, and you know that there's going to be a training period. You want them to work for 10 years to get up to maximum speed and productivity. It may be a sales position where you need contacts. Some of the workers are going to lag and be less productive over the course of the 10 years. And it may be quite rational to say, well, these 50-year-olds are not going to be as efficient or at their peak in 10 years as the 40-year-olds or the 30-year-olds. Even if it is economically rational for that employer, that doesn't mean it's economically rational for the society. If that employer doesn't hire any older workers, or even worse, lays off all their older workers based on a generalization, that means people that could have been very productive lose a job where they could be the most productive and are consigned to long-term unemployment, or at least underemployment. And so they're not doing as much for society, and we have to worry about other kinds of support, and there are political backlashes and the sort that I think in part we're seeing today.